I don't want to die with anything in me. So I want to create more, I want to love more, I want to push the limits, and that should motivate anyone listening to feel like, wow, like maybe I could try that, maybe I should try that, you know?
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 101 Dalmatians of the Andrew Deitch podcast. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you're having a great week. I know that I've had an amazing week. Hope you're having an amazing week. I've been attending a mastermind all week, hosted by my friend Katia Sarmiento, and I launched a new video with my buddy Richard yesterday, so that's super cool. Also, the podcast studio is coming together. Can't wait for you guys to see it. So exciting. This week's not even halfway over. This week has already been amazing. So anyways, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, number one, thank you so much for checking the show out. It really means the world to me that out of the millions and millions of things you could be listening to, you ended up choosing my show to be traveling through your eardrums. That feels good, you know? And anyways, if you don't know already, this show is all about having meaningful, in-person conversations with the most fascinating people I know. I love talking to people who are chasing their dreams, whether it be entrepreneurs, world travelers, athletes, doctors, influencers, you name it. I've done it over 100 times now. It's crazy. We sit down in person always, and they share their story, and that's pretty rad. So anyways, I have a really fun episode for you today with someone who I've known since high school, and you definitely know who it is because you clicked play on this episode. But I'm going to pretend like you don't know so I can keep you in suspense for a second. You know what I'm saying? So before I jump into the show, I just wanted to mention that this episode has been brought to you by the Andrew Deitch Podcast Internship Program. That's right. We have an internship program. The podcast is really growing, and we're looking for some amazing interns. You won't be treated as just a simple, coffee runner or some bullshit busy worker. We're looking for an addition to our team who we can value their opinions and input, and we're really looking for someone with an entrepreneurial spirit, a passion for learning, an open mind, and a solid understanding of podcasts and social media culture. If you're an avid listener of this podcast, you're probably a pretty good candidate. But if you or anyone you know is looking for opportunities in live video production, videography, video editing, audio editing, graphic design, animation, photography, social media strategy, public relations, podcast scheduling, preparation, research, script writing, or copywriting, then please visit andrewdeitch.com/internships for more details and how to apply. All right, that was a lot, but we made it through. My guest today is Preston Summerrow. He is a full-time freelance videographer, and he makes some of the dopest videos. Like, no lie, I love watching his videos. Not just videos for his clients, but like the videos on his YouTube channel. That's all you need to know. He's one of the silliest and goofiest people I know too, but I've known Preston for quite some time. He's always been someone who I've just, really admired because he's just always relentlessly chasing his dreams. And I think that's really the essence of this podcast, So I was super psyched to have him as a guest. He's been making videos since he was 12, and he pretty much hasn't stopped since then. He's got a fire YouTube channel, like I mentioned, where he posts his own, kind of vlog style videos. And for his clients, he makes some like epic cinematic stuff, like really dope stuff. Butter, so dope, premium content. But fun fact, he was also the first person I know who owned a drone, which is pretty dope. And after he graduated from the UGA, University of Georgia, he moved to Australia for a bit, and that's around the time he launched his brand, Preston Goes. Goes is not his last name; it's just the name of his channels and stuff. But during our conversation, we talked about what it takes to be a successful creator, how to cultivate creativity, and the internal struggles that come with being a creator, traveling the world, throwing a crazy sober party in high school, and quitting his job to be his own boss, and also so much more. We talked about a lot of stuff. So please, without any further ado, welcome my friend, Preston Summerrow.
Preston, what's up, dude?
Preston Summerrow.
That's me.
That's the proper pronunciation, right?
That is how you say my name.
Summerrow or anything?
Some people say that, and it's wrong.
Yes.
And I'll just kind of bucket them a little bit.
I just realized I didn't turn off the fan. The fan's on in here.
Let's get that fan off, dude.
Yeah, let's get that fan off.
It's a cool looking fan, right?
Yeah, it is a dope looking fan. And I'm going to turn that off too. Boom. All right. I'm back.
We're back.
All right, Preston. So, I like to start things off like pretty chill, pretty easy, but if you're in an elevator, like we just were,
Okay.
and there's a stranger in there, and he wanted to, he's like, so what do you do? How do you answer that question?
How do I answer that question? So I would explain. My name's Preston. I was born in Plano, Texas. On my passport, it says Texas, USA, birthplace.
That's pretty American.
Grew up in the suburbs of Atlanta, and yeah, dude, I got my first video camera at 12 years old for Christmas, and all of a sudden my eyes were opened, and I realized, oh, I love this so much. So now today I would call myself like a full-time freelance videographer.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, like
That's awesome.
the fact that that's like my job still blows my mind.
That's super dope.
And yeah, then they'd probably ask, like, so what does that mean exactly?
Yeah.
And then depending on how
Depending
long,
on who it is, yeah.
how long
we're going up to the 100th floor, so you got a couple minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah,
But that's how you mainly say it is you're a freelance videographer.
Yes.
Right? Sweet. And so to back things up a little bit, just to give people some context, we met through like mutual friends a long time ago. And then didn't really, like, we're connected on social media and stuff. But I feel like I've always just kind of like seen you and known of you, and like, you know, every couple years be like, oh, Preston, what's up, dude? And like still doing the what up? And then like a couple years later, like, oh, Preston, what up? So, but
I think the last time we ran into each other was at Ponce City Market, and you were shooting the that yoga thing.
Yes,
right?
yes, turntable yoga for Actively. Yeah.
Saw the video. Fire.
Thanks, bro.
Andrew with the incredible videography skills.
Thanks,
Everyone
dude.
check him out on Instagram, on YouTube.
Thank you, bro.
Plug.
Thank you, bro. Seriously, that means a lot, because actually I actually brought this up in another podcast. I talked about it, how a lot of times I have like imposter syndrome where I think, where I'm like worried about like, oh, people are going to figure out I'm a fraud or whatever. And so when I was like doing video for that, it was like one of the first like gigs that I'd kind of done with video stuff. And I'm like, oh shit, Preston's here. He does this shit for a living, dude. Like, I gotta make this a good one. You know what I mean? But like, there's obviously no pressure. Like, it's not like, if you know, you weren't ever going to be like, hey, just letting you know, that video that Andrew did fucking sucked, and don't, you know, like tell everyone, like, I could have done a way better job, just to be real.
I remember being there and seeing you with the camera and being like, oh, sweet. He does video too.
Yeah.
You know, as this like, it almost feels like this club,
right?
That like we're all in. So to see someone else join the club, it was like, yes. And then I saw the video. I was like, and then you explained to me that it was one of your like first paid gigs. Yeah. And then to see the edit, I was like, dude, are you kidding me?
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Seriously, it's kind of crazy. I'll get into this later, but yeah, video kind of started becoming more a part of what I've been doing a lot recently. Yeah. Just because of the podcast, really, because part of promoting and doing all that kind of stuff on social media, you want video content. Like, you have to have it, basically. But anyways, to go back a little bit, so me and Preston, the first time I remember meeting you was at a prom after party. Do you remember this?
Way.
I don't know if you remember this.
Northview?
It was Northview prom.
No!
It was Northview prom.
Oh my gosh, and my buddy was dating
Blake was dating
the blonde girl.
Jillian.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that was the first time I met you. So
I haven't thought about that in a long time.
I know. Man. I was thinking about it leading up to this because I was like, I think this would be an interesting.
It's funny, as I was driving here, I was trying to think how we met, and I was gonna avoid it at all costs because
like, I don't know.
I had no idea.
No, but that was the first time, and it was funny because I actually remember. So I didn't go to Northview either,
okay, right?
And you went to Alpharetta, right? So for people listening, Northview High School prom. Neither of us went to this prom,
right?
But I was at that prom because one of my friends invited me as her date. So I actually went to the prom, and then I think you were just at the after party, right? Did you even go to the prom?
Yeah, I think I just showed up to the after party,
which is the best part. Like, skip prom and just go to the after party. Right. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah. So my buddy was dating Jillian, who was that her name? Jillian?
I think so. Okay. Yeah, Jillian.
And she was dating, or she's friends with.
I think she was dating Blake.
Right. Yeah.
And then that's actually the first time I met Blake too, because me and Blake kind of hit it off that night because we were both the odd guys out. Like, both of us didn't go to Northview. Yes. And so that was the first time I met Blake. And then, it's kind of after that, I remember, I wanted to share a specific story too. I remember we were like bonding over the fact that we were like listening to Skrillex. Like at the after party, we were like raging to like Disco Rangers. And it had like just come out. We were like, Disco Rangers. Yeah. And like all these people at this after party, like, what is happening?
Yeah, I feel like that was right as like dubstep, electro, house kind of music was kind of on the rise. And yeah, me and all my friends, we listened to that all the time. So to meet another person, it was like, we're speaking the same language.
I know. And I remember like being there because you guys were like 1 grade older than me too. Right. I was like, oh, sick. Like I can like these guys like dubstep too. Like I'm in with them. Like so, that was my like high school mentality.
That is so
pretty
funny.
Because I was also again like the kind of the odd man out.
Yeah.
And so it was just hilarious.
So that was 2011, right?
I think so.
Because he was dating her senior year. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was a junior and you guys were seniors. So still, again, it was like that, even though it's like nothing now, the age difference doesn't even mean anything. Yeah. But back then it's like, oh, freaking seniors. Like, oh, wow. Totally. You know? So anyways, but yeah, that was my first impression. I feel like it's always funny to kind of share the first impressions.
I love that, man.
Because,
look at us, 7, 8 years later, here we are.
It's pretty nuts.
Podcast, video.
It's pretty nuts. But it's funny because I remember kind of, also later on, I went to Barnaroo, which was an event. So tell everybody about Barnaroo because I feel like like Barnaroo is a crazy story.
So when I was
not Bonnaroo, Barnaroo.
Right, exactly. So this was the summer, the summer going from my freshman year in college into my sophomore year in college. I went to the University of Georgia, and I was a part of this organization in Athens, and we basically threw these really big dry raves.
Yeah. Five Slam, right?
Five Slam, right.
Yes.
So yeah, we'd throw these huge dance parties in the
dry
middle.
raves meaning no alcohol, no drugs.
Exactly.
It's just a freaking party.
And they were just nuts. They were crazy. And I remember it just opening my eyes and like, oh my gosh. And I went home that summer, and I remember talking to my boys. I was like, we need to do something like this here. Like we could totally do it here. And at that summer, we had talked a lot about this idea of going to Bonnaroo, the festival. And as we kind of started talking about this like dance party we wanted to throw, there was this barn down the road from my house, and we were like, oh my gosh, what if we called it, instead of Bonnaroo, we called it Barnaroo,
and just threw it in this abandoned barn, right?
Exactly. And it was this like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's gonna like change everything. The suburbs aren't ready for Barnaroo.
Yeah.
We were so hyped on it. And that was the summer I met Taylor Mears. And Taylor Mears was like my dude, and it was like him and I and a few other guys, and we basically took this idea from the ground all the way up, and at the end of the summer we ended up throwing this huge dance party that ended up not happening in a barn, because that was actually much more difficult to do than we would have thought.
And kind of a bad idea. Like it probably would have gotten like busted.
Right.
But it ended up like being sick because you ended up getting a venue at like a church or something, right? Like a warehouse church kind of deal?
Yeah, so it was this venue called The Warehouse.
That's like a cool trendy church name, like we're meeting at The Warehouse.
But it just looked like a coffee shop with like a big room. And we were like, okay, we're going to do it at The Warehouse. We had to do this whole marketing switch. Barnaroo is not happening in a barn anymore, but that's
I remember you guys making videos about that. Like, it's not in a barn, but it's still happening.
Chill still.
It's going to be sick. Just because it's not in a barn doesn't mean it's not going to be cool.
And yeah, man, it's funny you mentioned that because that was probably one of the first times in my life where I had like this idea and to get a group of people together and like make this thing happen that people didn't necessarily totally believe in. I remember my dad looking at me that summer. We're in the kitchen. I'm telling him, oh, it's going to be in a barn. It's going to be crazy. And he kind of leans over and he goes, Preston, there's no way that's going to happen. And I couldn't handle it. I was so mad. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Who are you to say that?
It's like the freaking stereotypical like the white kid that like will argue with his parents. Like, what do you mean, Dad? I'm gonna prove you wrong. And like it's so funny,
dude. And it's funny now because I totally understand why he said that.
Yeah, obviously.
But it was this incredible motivation to like make it happen.
The fact that he said it wasn't gonna happen was like the motivation,
right? Like I really wanted to. Like I told all these people that it was gonna happen. So I was like, even if you don't believe in me, like I still need to like. I said I was gonna do it. I want to do it.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. Like once I say something, kind of like the podcast. Like sometimes I'm afraid to say it because I know once I say it, I've got to follow through, or I'm gonna look dumb. Like, and I don't want to look dumb. I don't want to look like I'm, not following up on my word.
Dude, I resonate with that completely. And it's funny, yeah. So that was this like incredible moment of my eyes open to like, what it feels like to be an entrepreneur, and especially like work with people and do this thing.
Because you guys eventually got like Monster Energy to sponsor it too. I remember there was Monster drink, and funny enough, this is a side story. So I ended up going like with some of my friends,
right.
And at the time, Monster Energy was having a promotion where if you collected the little Monster tabs, you could send them in and get a bunch of free stuff. And I was like collecting them, and I had like 20 or whatever. Right. But at the thing, everyone was just throwing their Monster cans away. So after the thing, me and my friends were just going through and like collecting all the tabs. And I think I ended up getting like a backpack or something like that because of it.
You earned that backpack.
I earned the backpack for sure. But I remember it was very interesting because it was like this weird thing where everyone. Because like in high school, the cool thing obviously is like, oh, we're gonna like go to a party and like there's gonna be some alcohol or something like that. And the fact that it was like a dry thing, was people were like so confused. They're like, wait, like on purpose, or is it like parents, or like what's happening?
Right.
Like they were super confused of like they were like, wait, it's a party, but no. Can you have fun without alcohol? I've never done that.
Right. It's funny. Like people definitely showed up drunk.
Yeah,
and that was expected. But
at the place, there was security and stuff. I remember.
And like we still let those people in. Like we wanted everyone there.
Yeah.
But it was really cool seeing there were so many people that their eyes were really open to this like idea of like, wow, like I had an incredible time. I'm so sore from dancing and drenched in sweat, and I'm like totally sober. Yeah. I think that was like a really cool thing to like, I don't know, spread out to these.
No, that's super true. I think because I think you and I are very similar in the way that we can like get super hype without like having to be on drugs or anything like that.
Sometimes people think I'm on drugs.
Oh, for sure. There's this guy. Oh my gosh, there's this guy on Facebook. His name's Nathan's Crazy Dance Moves. Okay. He's this dude that lives in the Netherlands, and he just goes to raves and like does these crazy. He's not even like good at dancing, but it's just like weird shit where he's just like doing like all this stuff, and he's just moving and going crazy, and like running and like Mario sprinting and stuff around. And you need to follow him. Okay. He's got like 500,000 followers on Facebook now, and he was at Tomorrowland actually that I just went to, and I met him. And he would do these meetups where everyone would go and basically copy what he was doing.
Amazing.
And like it was sick.
Like Simon Says or something?
Yeah, it was literally like Simon Says. Like he would do like this one thing with the arm and then everyone would do it.
It makes me want to do it.
It was so sick. It was so sick. But like he actually wears a shirt that says Nathan's Crazy Dance Moves, like me on Facebook. And on the back it says no drugs, no alcohol. Because everyone just assumes that this guy's on something because he's just acting ridiculous.
Totally.
But he's just feeling the music. He's just feeling the
100%.
vibes. And it's cool that like, to show people that you don't have to be messed up in order to have a good time,
100%.
which is cool. But anyways, so that was like another avenue where I was like, damn, like Preston and his friends like put this whole thing together. Like that's freaking crazy. Yeah. And I'm sure for you, like that was a big moment. Like you said, kind of the first time you were doing something, quote unquote, like entrepreneurial, building something from the ground up. What even, obviously you guys just have these crazy ideas and you guys are always making funny videos, doing all kinds of ridiculous stuff, like Jackass style kind of stuff. But like, what even gave you the audacity that you thought that you could do it? You know what I mean? Because like most kids in high school are like, that'd be cool, but like, I'm never gonna pull that off.
That's a great question, dude. I think it's funny you asked me. I'm like, what? Yeah, why did I have the confidence?
I don't know.
I think number one, going to college and seeing it done on this grand scale definitely made me think like, oh, if they can do it there, we could totally do this back home.
Were you a part of that organization at that point? Okay.
So I just joined. Okay. And I was kind of seeing like behind
how
the
it
scenes.
worked. Yeah, what it takes to run an event and stuff like that.
Man.
Makes sense.
And then then I think the people I was surrounded by, my boys, it was like our friend group.
And because you guys all went off to college, so it was kind of like a reunion type of situation.
Totally.
And it was funny because that was right after your freshman year or during your freshman year or something. So I was still in high school at the time. So I went there with my high school buddies, which is just really funny. But I remember that was a really good time. But anyways, so that's
right.
Like you said, you don't even know how you got the audacity to do it. It was just like, you kind of saw these events being thrown at school, and you're like, I could do something like that with my buddies.
And I think it's cool now to look back at it, because kind of like we were talking about a few minutes ago, I feel very similar in the fact that when I decide I'm going to do it, like I'm going to go for it. So like that moment when my dad was like, hey, this isn't going to happen. I was like, oh, it's going to happen. You know what I mean?
It's going to happen.
And I think it's cool now. So now fast forward, it's 2018. I'm 25 years old. I recently left my job at this creative agency in Atlanta called Campfire. They do like social media management.
Lots of dope content.
Really incredible people.
Beautiful content.
And I was in charge of all the video stuff. And I recently left to kind of pursue this dream that I've had for a long time of just seeing what being a freelance videographer would. What would happen? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Because I'm sure like landing big clients and stuff like that through Campfire, and of course they're taking a cut of that and stuff, and you're kind of like, I'm probably doing a lot of the majority of the work and stuff like that, like a lot of it. I'm sure there's a lot of team effort, but as a one-man show, you can do a lot.
Totally. And to be honest, I never really thought about it through that lens specifically. I think mostly because like the leadership over there and the people I was able to work with, I was so excited to be around them and like the mission of what we were doing. That's like what it was all about.
The videos when you guys were together always seemed like you guys were like the best friends ever.
Man, it like that's been the hardest part, and I think anyone listening understands like when you have a group of people that mean a lot to you, and then you get to work together as well. The idea of leaving that, it almost feels like you shouldn't like you're not supposed to, you know what I mean?
No, I'm totally with you. I'm actually kind of in the middle of something like that right now where it's like, man, I can't get away. And also like I look fondly on the days when I worked at like Dunkin' Donuts because the people that I worked with are so fun.
Totally.
Like we were just goofing off all the time, messing with customers, like the regulars and stuff, not just like any random people, like people we knew, just goofing off all the time, but also like working
100%.
and like, we would actually we had to work together to freaking get the drive-through time good and all that type of stuff. It was like, sometimes it was super fun.
I love that.
But like, and when you leave, it's almost like people are like, you're leaving our fam?
Yeah.
Like, bae, fam.
Bae.
What's the line that's like, fam, I thought you were squad.
Was that Nick Coletti, dude? I love that guy.
Dude, funny story. I actually met Nick Coletti at a Top Golf in Las Vegas.
What?
And he was really drunk. He definitely doesn't remember this encounter. And I was so bummed because I had got it on Snapchat and I was like, and he said, saw dude, amazing, in my Snapchat with me. Yeah. And then Snapchat crashed and the video deleted. And I'm like, I was livid. But anyway, but also Riff Raff was there. Like Jody High Roller, Riff Raff. Oh yeah. I got a video with him.
Amazing.
I got a picture with him. And also Getter was there, the guy that does the Subdued stuff with Nick Coletti. Anyways,
love Getter.
Pretty funny, weird story. Met him for like 2 seconds. They were weirded out that we found them, and it was a weird situation.
I would love to hang out with them.
I got a video with them for like 2 seconds, and then I dipped. But anyways, how do we get on that? But leaving your company, it's always a challenging thing.
And I was really lucky to work with a group of people that when I kind of communicated where I saw my future and that it wasn't there, so much support, so much love, and I couldn't have asked for a better ending and better relationships with those people now.
That's awesome.
Because I think that's the fear, man. The fear is that I'm gonna take this jump. I'm gonna leave, and the bridges are burnt.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like he left us.
Exactly.
And he's making videos for other people.
Right. Totally. And there's fear there. And dude, I feel really lucky the fact that it hasn't been like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, dude. So all that being said, now I'm doing the whole freelance thing. And
so what does that mean exactly for you? So like obviously you're like doing your own stuff. You can work with who you want. You can do whatever you want. But like, are you still? Did you still retain any of the clients that you were working with Campfire, or did you have to go out and find all new clients, or what?
I essentially found new clients.
Because you didn't want to like steal their business, kind of.
Yeah, just like making sure we didn't burn any bridges.
Yeah. That's
so
good.
now,
Very respectful.
Yeah, man. I'm doing the whole freelance thing, got the new clients, and making all kinds of videos, real estate videos, brand films, you name it.
So like for people listening that they're obviously the word videographer can mean so many things. It can also, you could be a videographer but like be a crappy editor, or you could be a really great editor but suck at actually camera work and stuff like that. Right. So like you're kind of doing all of that wrapped into one. And you said you kind of are doing all kinds of videos, but like the style of videos that you're doing, typically I would say for your personal channel is like vlog style kind of stuff.
Yes.
And then for like brands and stuff, correct me if I'm wrong, it's very like lots of like beautiful kind of like slow motion, very buttery, cinematic type of videos.
100%.
Okay.
I think I love video because video is this incredible medium where you can invoke emotion in someone.
Totally.
I can make you laugh. I can make you cry. I can motivate you. There's so much potential there.
Yeah. There's a lot of layers of things happening.
Totally.
And a lot of times if you're a good editor, you can put all those layers in and people don't even realize that they're there.
Yeah. Totally.
Which is crazy.
And so when I have I have my freelance clients where they tell me what they want, and I'll make this beautiful, cinematic, professional looking video. But then on my
professional looking, it's not really professional.
And then on my channels, I just kind of do whatever I want, and maybe it's comedy or just stupid, goofy vlog style stuff. I think being able to tap into those emotions, especially on such a different range in the spectrum of emotion, I think is so important. And I think it's really easy for videographers to just kind of say, I only make highlight videos. I only make music videos. I only do real estate videos.
It can be good for finding clients because you can always find those repeat clients and stuff. But for me, making the same types of videos all the time would get super boring.
Right.
Too.
And as a creative, I love like these new challenges and like having to figure out this new medium that like I don't really know how to make a real estate video, but I'm going to do it. It's going to be awesome.
Well, also another thing for me is just emulating videos that I like. Like if I watch a real estate video that sucks ass, I can watch it and be like, I could have made that way better because the shot was jittery here, or they should have panned way further, or they should have stopped panning, or these shots are entirely way too long. It should be cutting quicker, or they need drone footage, or whatever it ends up being. Or you can watch a real estate video that's like, this is amazing, and like you start to like, how did they even do that shot where they came through that hole or whatever, so I always think whenever you're going out to create something, like obviously have your own ideas in your head, but also like you kind of should be trying to emulate something. Yeah. Because I've actually brought this up more times than I thought I would, because it took a while to marinate, but I did a podcast with this guy named Alan Gannett. He wrote a book called The Creative Curve. Okay. And he talks about how creativity is actually not this thing that we're born with. It's something that you can actually cultivate like a muscle, like a skill.
Yes.
And the idea behind it is, what is creativity? Because we think like, that's creative. Like we look at something and we say, that's creative. But what's creative now is not necessarily what's been creative in the past. And like, so in order to be creative, you have to have, it got super rainy just a second ago. Crazy.
For those of you that can't see what we're seeing, big old storm of brewing.
Big old storm of brewing. And a very beautiful view, actually. You can see the downtown Atlanta, which is pretty
Andrew's easily distracted by weather.
Yes. Anyways. But so with creativity, you have to have 1 foot in the past and also 1 foot in the novel and the new. So basically what that means is like, for dubstep, for example, if dubstep came out in the 1700s, people wouldn't understand it as music, but because there was an evolution from classical music to, something else to like, jazz to rock to heavy metal to then dubstep, it was like all an evolution. And like, so now it's like, if you see a realistic painting, you're like, that's cool. But like, it's not that creative because it's like, you literally just kind of painted what's in front of you. Granted, it's very skillful, but like I could take a photograph. Sure. You know what I mean? But like the cool stuff for me now is like, you know, let's say you made a VR experience where it's like, holy crap, this is something I've never even seen before. This is very creative, you know, because you're pushing the boundaries. So I think like constantly immersing yourself in other people's creations too is really important, because like that's one thing as a podcaster, like I feel like if I didn't also consume other podcasts, I would be not as good of a podcaster, because I pick up on things I like and pick up on things I don't like too. Yeah. And it just, you know, it makes sense in all avenues, but especially in creative endeavors like video or, you know, whatever.
It's funny you talk about learning about creativity. I feel like I'm in this period of my life where I'm learning so much about it as well. For a long time, when I thought of creativity, I thought, well, for me, what creativity looks like is I'm walking around, I'm in the shower, and a lightning bolt hits my head. And there it is. All the ideas, write them all down. Yeah. And then that's it. Exactly. And yeah, I just ended up reading a book, probably similar to the one you're talking about, that just kind of taught me all about how it's this muscle that you have to strengthen with routine. And so like something I've been doing that has just been blowing my mind is in the book he kind of talks about having creative triggers to basically, once you're in that environment, your body almost knows, okay, it's time to start thinking and creating and brainstorming. So for me, what my triggers are on like, I think it's Tuesday through Thursday, Friday, I get up, I kind of go through my routine, work out, shower, coffee, walk out to the front porch, sit on the chair to the right of the mailbox. I sit down, I have my coffee. It's in between 8 and 10 a.m. And I sit down, I put my phone and my Apple Watch inside, no distractions. And I tell myself I'm going to sit here for 30 minutes to an hour and I'm just going to start writing just ideas.
Love it.
And dude, it has been the craziest thing, because now it's getting to the point where these really are serving as triggers. Oh, for sure. Now I sit down at that time in that chair and it's like so much easier. And I feel like I'm tapping into this part of my mind that I didn't really know was there. Yeah, so I would encourage anyone listening to this right now that feels
meditative.
Like, totally, man. That maybe you don't feel like you're super creative. Yeah. Give that a try. I think it opened my eyes so much. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like and people tell lies to themselves. Like they try drawing a stick figure and they're like, man, I suck at drawing. And that starts a ball rolling in their head of, I suck at drawing, I'm not creative, I can't, I'm not as, whatever it ends up being, and it ends up manifesting into like these beliefs about yourself. Yeah. And like one example I thought of earlier, I watched, I don't know if you saw the tennis match between Serena Williams and Osaka the other day.
I saw the highlights.
It's pretty nuts because there's this whole controversy, but I watched the press conference from Osaka, and like she's this 20-year-old girl, and you can just tell like she just has like, she's so good at tennis. She just won the US Open, and yet she still has all these like negative beliefs. Like she was like saying like, oh, well, they were asking, are you going to go out and celebrate tonight? And she's like, oh, well, I'm just not really a social person. Well, granted, like you might not really want to go out and party, but like you probably are social around like your friends and stuff, like people you want to be around, you're probably social around. Or like, she, there was something else she said too that was very limiting beliefs. And I hate that. Like I love when people are able to take their limiting beliefs and freaking shatter them, Totally. And that's, again, going kind of back to like the imposter syndrome kind of thing that I was feeling around the video stuff. Is like, who am I? Like, I just bought this camera like a couple weeks ago. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not qualified. I don't know how to work all these settings. I don't know how to, for all I know, I could be screwing this up completely and I'm going to look like an idiot. But, that's all, who gives permission to anybody to do anything? You know what I mean? Man. Like who gave my camera shut off. Who gave Steven Spielberg like the first you're gonna go out and create a cinematic movie. Like you're gonna make a full length movie. Who gave him permission? Like and I think people don't really think about that. They're waiting for someone to like give them a sign or give them a break or whatever.
And I think even
turn this back on. Keep going.
I think even the most successful people, like top of their industry, still feel the same way, and they doubt themselves when they're kind of tapping into a new thing, starting a new thing. Like even for me, man, like I've been making videos since I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And now that it's like my full-time thing, and I kind of wanted this creative outlet, I kept thinking about like I want to make consistent YouTube videos and do the same thing. Gets in my head, I'm like, it's too late. Who am I? Who am I to do that?
YouTube's saturated.
You know what I mean? Like the wave, the wave is past.
Yeah.
Like
everyone's already watching Peter McKinnon and Casey Neistat.
You know what I mean?
Who's gonna watch me?
Man, it's so crazy. Once all it takes, dude, and you know this, just getting over that first. Once you get over those negative thoughts in your head, once you get over those, and then you jump in, and you're like, oh, okay, and then it just starts happening. The ball starts rolling.
Yeah.
Dude, I've seen that so much. So like for me, for my YouTube channel, so today I posted for the 9th week in a row.
That's big time.
Yeah, man. And then, with the first video, I was freaking out. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, I'm about to put this thing out there, and like, what are people gonna think?
Should I share it? I guess I gotta share it. Like, you know
what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, oh yeah, boom, next one. I'm thinking about video number 100.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to see you here, and this is episode 101, right?
Yep, 101.
Let's freaking go, dude. That pumps me up, man.
Yeah.
We just high-fived. We just
high-fived. It was not that loud, but we high-fived. Here, let's get a loud one. There's one video.
All right, let's go.
There we go. That was a great one. The first one we did to the side, and then the second one we did a really bad one. Have you seen those it's mainly from esports conventions where the guys will do a high five afterward, and they're like, it's like the most awkward thing of all time.
Sweet.
Like these guys are so skilled with the game controller, but they cannot even do a handshake. It's pretty funny. But yeah, man, it's freaking unbelievable, honestly, to get to 100 episodes, because that was really my vision from the beginning was like 100 episodes. Because podcasts, I mean, you look at someone like Joe Rogan, he's at 1,189 or something. Wow. Like, I mean, how am I going to compete with that? You know what I mean? And I'm just like a one-man show. He's got people behind it and all that stuff, you know? So I was like, once I hit 100, then I'm big time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And because most podcasts, you know, don't make it past like 5. You know, totally. I mean, if you look at, you know, there's a graveyard of podcasts on iTunes. You can go through and find, like, you know.
Same with YouTube channels, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. And actually, so is your YouTube channel the same one that you were uploading when you're like back in the day?
No.
Okay, me neither. I changed mine. So is it still live though? Like, can people go find those videos? Okay. So me too. And so I thought of that the other day, because I was like, dang, I have all these dumb videos. Because like you said, you know, when you were 12 or 13, you got your first camera. Totally. I was kind of in the same boat where I got my first camera phone. So that was my first opportunity to like actually make before we used like our family VHS to like make dumb videos when I was a kid, like we would make little skits and like dance videos and stuff. Like, you know, kids do that.
Totally.
But I remember I had my first phone with a camera. It was an LG Envy. It like flipped open and had the little keyboard. But I remember
that one.
It was a dope phone. Like,
and did the screen like flip around?
That was a different one. That was the
We'll cut that out. Just cut that out.
It's okay.
I know so much about phones.
No, but it had like the full QWERTY keyboard, and so it was like, oh yeah, I can text so fast. But dude, I have such a nostalgia for physical keyboards. Like, I love it so much, but at the same time, like, you know, screens are the way to go. But anyways, that was like the first time where I was able to kind of like make videos on my own, but I also didn't have any like software to edit anything. So I was just like, there was a function where you could pause the actual recording. Yes. And so I would like pause it and then like do another take and like click continue. So it's still one file, but it had cuts built in. So I was like editing literally while I was shooting.
And there'd be like a 2 second clip of you recording on accident.
And you'd hear like, go. You always hear that? Go. Because you're like 3, 2, 1. You're the go. But yeah, dude, like that, my old YouTube channel, it's pretty cringy. It's pretty bad.
It's so good though, right?
But I'm in the same boat. Like when I first got that camera, I was like, I want to like make something. I want to create stuff. We would make dry ice bomb videos. That was like my bread and butter. Yeah. Made so many dry ice bomb videos. We'd strap like toys to it and see how far they flew. But it's potato quality. Like watching those videos, you can't even watch them. Like, it's just.
Did
so
you ever
bad.
make works bombs?
Once.
Okay.
I just had a surplus of dry ice because my dad owns a Dippin' Dots franchise.
What?
Yeah, fun fact. So my dad owns a Dippin' Dots franchise, and so like every week he's getting shipments of tons of ice cream.
Wow.
It comes in dry ice, so we always had dry ice.
Oh.
And the Works bombs were kind of like more dangerous because if you inhale the like fumes and stuff, apparently it's really bad. So it's basically the same thing. It's like
turned out okay.
Yeah, it's essentially like the same situation though, because it's you're making some sort of chemical reaction that expands the bottle and it ends up exploding.
Yeah.
Same kind of deal. But yeah, we I think I had a dry ice bomb explode in my hand one time. That was kind of the catalyst for us stopping. Okay. But anyways,
enough of the bombs.
Enough of the bombs. But yeah, I can remember too, like making like videos. Like as soon as I had a camera, I was like, whoa, I can start like making videos and stuff.
Totally.
And I kind of I never attempted editing, and so I always was just like, well, I suck at editing, so like I don't know, I can't really make YouTube videos. And then once I realized that, how to edit and stuff like that, I kind of got back into it recently. But so like when you first started off with your, it was like a camera with like a tape in it, right?
Oh yeah.
So how were you editing that? Were you kind of doing the same thing where you'd like pause it and then just kind of shoot again?
Yeah, so I was recording on a
shoot to edit
on a little mini DV tape. So yeah, I would record, pause, same thing. All right, action, rolling.
Yeah.
And then I'd have the tape, and then I would record the tape by plugging a FireWire into the camera into my PC, and then I would press play on the camera, and then it would record to the PC into like an hour-long video clip.
So if the video was an hour long, you had to sit there for an hour for it to write a file, basically. That's funny.
It's crazy. And it's funny, so I just made a video recently where I went through all that old footage, and dude, the process of getting tape footage onto a 2017 MacBook Pro is a nightmare.
Yeah, for sure.
Gosh.
How many dongles?
So I think I had 5. And it was like dongle, adapter, dongle, something like that. Something crazy. It was stupid. And so it didn't work.
A dongle, adapter.
Yes, that.
That's amazing. Getting anything onto a 2017 MacBook is a pain in the ass, but getting a physical film thing onto I'm sure. I can't imagine. Honestly, I'd probably would have just given up in the middle of that. But that's pretty sweet. So then you graduated to, you kept upgrading and upgrading and upgrading, and then you eventually, like, when did you start taking video like more seriously? Because I remember, obviously, when you got to college, you did the Aerial Athens thing too.
Yes.
And that was drones, obviously.
Right. For context, in like 2012, 2013, I bought a drone.
DJI Phantom, right?
DJI Phantom 2 with the GoPro mount. It was like...
So it was a GoPro.
Oh, yeah.
Dang.
And this was like the beginning. It was right
no
when they
rules,
came out
Wild
with,
West.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. They came out with a gimbal that you could put your GoPro on. So I spent all my savings on like this huge rig.
How much was that at the time?
I think... I didn't have a GoPro either, so I think in total it was probably like $1,200.
Really? Surprisingly cheap. I thought it would be more, just because like the new one, like the new Phantoms are more than that. So I was thinking it was like
maybe it's more. That's what I remember it as.
Yeah, but still, there's still no like not pennies or anything. It's still like a big investment, especially for a college kid.
Totally. And
were your friends like, why is he buying a flying camera?
A lot of people told me I was stupid, which I love. I'm like, you guys don't see the vision here.
Dude, I remember following your videos from that and being like blown away because it was right at the cutting edge of drone stuff.
Oh yeah,
and no one had seen drone videos. Right. Now you watch like the butteriest, like sickest drone footage ever, and you're like, cool.
Isn't that the funniest thing? And we're all so desensitized to like aerial footage, but in the beginning,
I were like, did he rent a helicopter?
Oh my gosh!
Because how else would you have gotten that footage?
The footage is so smooth. I remember like the first video I posted, it was just this empty field, and what song was it? It was an Explosions in the Sky. Nice. Is that the artist?
I think Explosions in the Sky, yes. I believe that's the artist.
Yeah. And I just kind of fly the drone and pull back, and I'm sitting there like, and I had this epic track, and I remember thinking, this is the coolest thing I've ever made in my whole life.
Dude, seriously. But how, like, seriously, how crazy is that? Because I remember watching this promo video that this guy made where he was like jet skiing and stuff. And I was like, they rented a helicopter for this shoot. Yeah. I didn't like know drones were like a thing. Like I guess I had thought about it like for cinema stuff, like the crazy ones with like 8 props and stuff. But like I just assumed like, oh, they rented a helicopter for the shoot. And now looking back, I'm like, that's silly. But at the time, it was it was very cutting edge.
It was mind blowing.
Yeah.
So it was exciting.
So when you put up that footage, were people blown away, or were they like, cool?
Oh yeah, people freaked out. It was before, so I ended up starting this Instagram account. So I lived in Athens, Georgia when I was at the University of Georgia. And I started this Instagram account called Aerial Athens. The idea was if I'm going to spend all this money, I'm going to be making
Great
stuff.
branding, by the way.
Thank you.
It was killer. It was like everyone was. It was kind of mysterious too. Like, what is this? Aerial Athens? Who is this? Who is this guy?
No one knew it was me, which I loved. Felt like freaking Batman in Athens.
Athens.
So stupid.
Athman.
Okay,
there we go.
You got
but
it more?
not really.
Okay. And yeah, man, I started like making videos, and I remember I had like 3 or 4 up on my Instagram account. Yeah, like I said, it was before the algorithm, and getting like 1,000 followers in like a week, thinking this is it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. 1,000, like people now are like, oh, you only have 1,000 followers, but dude, like 1,000. Think about a room of 1,000 people.
Oh yeah.
And this is before Instagram was so saturated, where all your 1,000 followers, like almost all of them might see your stuff.
Oh, totally. And it was all organic. Like I didn't pay for anything.
No.
People just saw it. So that blew my mind. And then I started taking it more seriously. Started getting more into editing. I'd been editing videos throughout college, but now it was like this like thing that I created out of nowhere. I got super excited, and then ended up graduating. And
what was your major, by the way?
Advertising.
Nice. So those kind of go hand in hand, like
they do.
The marketing, advertising kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's funny though. I think about my degree and everything I learned, and I feel like I don't know. It's like I didn't really need it. Like everything, as with most college education.
Yeah.
But
I agree. I was actually before I dropped out actually after my freshman year. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I was a mass communications major, so it was like same kind of deal where I only took one intro to mass comm class because typically like your mass comm stuff didn't start till you were a sophomore, and like first year is just all the like basic stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I remember like sitting in the class, like learning about like print ads and like learning about like all the history of advertising and stuff. And like, that was kind of interesting, but I was also sitting there thinking like, I remember this old guy, it was this old professor, and he was starting to teach us about like internet, like banner ads and stuff like that. And I'm like, why are we learning about banner ads? Like, why is this even in our textbook?
Banner ads.
I'm like, I've never once in my life clicked on a banner ad. Not once. Not once. And like, except for, I actually remember one time when I was really young, there's one that popped up that was like $5 Blockbuster credit, and I thought it was real, and I clicked on it, and I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, we need to put it on our address because they're gonna send us this $5 Blockbuster credit. And he's like, don't do it, it's a scam. And I'm like, it's a scam? What do you mean? And then that was the first time I learned that the internet is evil.
Amazing.
But yeah, like I've never clicked on a banner ad in my freaking life.
Yeah.
You know, most of it.
That's so good.
When I just sitting there, remember like thinking about learning about that, I'm like, this, like the textbook, this is like a couple years old at this point. Marketing's already changed in the past 6 months of what's effective and what's not. 100%. So anyways, we could tangent on that for a long time. But it's so true, like, you know, it is sometimes hard to quantify like 100%. What the value of it is, but at the same time, like I think someone like you made the most of it in the fact that, you know, you were involved with Five Slam, so you were learning how to do like events and stuff like that. You were, you know, again, kind of the Barnaroo stuff. You were learning that side of things, and then also, 100%. You know, learning the advertising stuff, and then also kind of the aerial Athens thing. If you weren't living in Athens, maybe you would have bought a drone anyways. Right. But like, it was cool that it was around there, and it kind of probably, you know, no one's making content around the city of Athens like that. You know, so it was dope that like people wanted to share it. So I feel like. I'm a big believer in, if you're going to go to college to like do something, you should also kind of be like practicing what you preach. Like if you're going to SCAD to like learn art, but you're like only creating art that like your professor's telling you to make, then like you should be like making art that also isn't for school. You know what I mean? I
remember when I was applying to work at the agency, Campfire that I mentioned before, my former boss looking at me, and he was like, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really want to see your resume. I don't really care about where you went to school. I just want to know what you've done. And man, that hit me so hard. And I think it's just what you're saying, man. It's like, it's like we can do all the things and go to the school and like you have your resume with all the things, but if you're not out here doing something,
then I don't care.
You know what I mean?
No, I'm 100%. Dude, like that's the thing about like even this podcast, you know? It's like people like, you know, I've never worked in a crazy job or anything like that where, you know, I've anything prestigious, but I can, especially if I was going into like a creative field or something like that, just showing them like, you know, look what I made. Literally this whole show. I've talked 100%. To all kinds of interesting people. I've learned a lot of stuff. I make all the promo content. I can do all the graphics. I can do all the videos. Like, what more do you want to see? You know what I mean?
And to be, completely brand this thing and stick to it as long as you have. Yeah, it's like,
pretty dope.
Yeah, it shows like, wow.
I'm proud of myself. Like, it's
totally,
cool.
Man.
It's super cool. But like, at the end of the day, it all started with me just buying some recording equipment on eBay
and taking that jump, man.
Literally just taking the jump. And I think that's what I was gonna ask you about, because recently you gave away a camera, right?
I did.
You gave away your first Canon camera.
Yeah.
What was it again?
So it was the Canon Rebel T4i. So it wasn't like first camera ever, but it was
the first like DSLR, like real like big boy camera.
Right. So after Aerial Athens, I graduated. Ended up deciding like everyone's gonna get a drone eventually, and I kind of left Aerial Athens in Athens.
Yeah. Hey.
And
the account's still live. I actually checked. I looked at it the other day, like because I was thinking about us doing our podcast, and I was like looking at your stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I did the Aerial Athens thing, and I went and looked at the page, so it's kind of funny.
And then I ended up after I graduated, I ended up traveling. And
you went to Australia for a year, right?
So my cousin at the time was living in Sydney with his family. And again, it was like, here's another opportunity. Like I want to document. I want to make something of this. Similar with the drone stuff, but like now I need like a
and that's when you started Preston Goes, right? Like that was the name, the branding. I loved it, dude. When I first watched, I remember watching that first video that you made and you were skateboarding and the drone was right in front of you and then you flew it out. Yeah. And I was like, what? I was blown away. Like that was a sick video.
So this camera that you asked about is the camera that I brought with me on that whole thing.
Because obviously you can't shoot like normal content with a drone.
Exactly. So I brought,
you pop out your GoPro, but
right. So I brought the drone with me, but I had the camera and traveled through Australia with it and backpacked through Southeast Asia. And it was dope. And it was awesome. And I kind of branded this whole thing Preston Goes. It's like I'm going. I kind of want you to follow with me, and it's the account I still use now.
It's a great name.
Appreciate it. Thanks. It's the account I still use now. And I know I don't really have like a travel account, but I think in my mind it's more of like we're all kind of moving, and I think like growth comes from taking the step and like going.
Yes.
So now when I think of Preston Goes, I think of it in a new light, but it still resonates with me.
Yes.
So all
it's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah,
Preston Goes. Preston Goes.
Sometimes people think it's my last name. It's not.
That's funny, actually. That's funny. I mean, I knew your last name, so I never assumed that, but I could totally see that.
So
people think my last name is Podcast.
Amazing. I'm just kidding.
My middle name is Deitch, and my last name is Podcast.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Podcast.
Yes, thank you. It's a perfect name for someone who has a podcast, right?
It's so good.
But anyway, so you had this Canon camera.
Yes.
And so it was your baby. You took it with you on your travels, and you were gone for a year. You said, right?
It was like 6 months.
Okay,
Felt
6
like
months. Still
10 years,
dude. 6 months of traveling is no joke.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was just gone for 6 weeks, and it felt like
100%.
long. So I mean, 6 months, you really get immersed. Like you feel like you're living there. Totally. Like after 3 months, you're like, I'm living here.
You really do.
This is where I'm at.
So in the video that I talked about even earlier about the first camera, at the end of that video, I bring out the Canon, and I explain this is the camera that I brought with me on all my travels, and kind of going through all this footage made me realize like that I grew up very privileged, and I grew up in the freaking suburbs of Alpharetta, Georgia. Do
you have siblings, by the way? I never asked you.
I do. Older sister, younger sister.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Why do you ask?
I was just wondering.
Okay.
Because I never knew. But I feel like it's funny because having sisters, a lot of times the guys are a little bit more subdued maybe. Yeah. Like having brothers like makes you a little more crazy. Right. But like You didn't need that.
Okay.
But anyways, sorry. Side note.
All good.
Yeah. But so you were talking about this camera and how it was your baby and everything.
And made me realize that I grew up really privileged. And if I wasn't given the first camera, I would have never kind of ended up where I am today. And the thought of giving this to someone that could really use it felt like a no-brainer. So kind of put this message out to, like, you know, I don't have like 300 subscribers on YouTube, but like I still I wanted people to hear it, and
300 subs is a big deal though. Like, you know, even because YouTube is different where, you know, if I'm friends with you on Facebook, I might not like really care that much. I might just be your friend. But like a sub on YouTube, I feel like you know,
it means something.
So yeah, because sometimes you go through and you purge your old subs. At least I do. Like I'll go through and I'm like, I'm subbed to way too many people. And like, I don't watch their videos anymore, so I'll purge them. But like, you know, 300 people that like get a notification or whatever.
So they all got the notification and they saw the video and ended up getting.
I was subbed actually.
You were?
Yeah, I remember getting the notification.
Love it.
Yeah,
I love that. And yeah, so they got all these messages and ended up giving the camera to this girl named Fernay that had this incredible story. And her sister reached out and was like, "Hey, my sister is working this job for Teach for America in Mississippi, yada yada." I FaceTime her, I record the whole thing, and dude, it was just nuts, man. Like everything's set up, we're talking, she freaks out. And if you've seen the video, she looks at me and she basically says like, "I don't know if you knew about our situation, like what it's looked like the past few years," and explains to me that her dad passed away like 4 years ago, something like that. And I had no idea. Blew my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh. And she explained like, your act of generosity reminds me a lot of my dad because he had this saying, or he used to say, you give to get to give again. It kind of turns into this cycle. And that my generosity reminded her of her dad. Which, dude, like gives me goosebumps thinking about now, just because, man, it's like, I think it's easy for all of us on social media in 2018 to just think like, oh, look at selfies and travel and drone and legs kicking out of a helicopter and you know what I mean? But like the fact that we all have this potential like to do something good and like present a more honest version of ourselves online, and there could be a really positive impact. And so I love that. It's been blowing my mind. I wasn't ready for that at all.
That's amazing. Yeah, and actually I like what you said about, you know, being more authentic, because I think our generation in particular has realized that how toxic social media can be.
100%.
And, you know, I read recently there's a study of, you know, young people that said, I think it was over half had reported taking a break from social media, like an official break, you know, like a week or whatever. And even, I think it was like 25% had reported like deleting Facebook off their phone for a while. Just because it was like so overwhelming and so much comparison. And that was one of the biggest things why I started this podcast, was because the podcast is an avenue where you can share realness and authenticity, and you can get to know somebody and have a real conversation, because the world of social media is so bite-sized and so quick, and so, you know, what's next? I'm not even going to sit through your 15-second story. I'm going to skip. That's a good point. And so like this, it's like I'm uploading literally hours and hours. You know, it's a crazy fact. If you start from episode 0 and go all the way to now, it would take nonstop over 7 days to get through all of my podcasts. Whoa. That's nuts, right?
That's nuts.
And there's people out there that have listened to like a majority of that, which is crazy to think about. But what it is like, podcasting is such a different avenue because it's audio. Like you can listen to it passively and you can like feel like a fly on the wall. You get to hang out with us. You know what I mean? So it's such a different medium that I love, because I feel like when you are putting out these little tiny pieces of content, it can feel disingenuous. It can feel forced. It can feel kind of fake, because you only have so much like attention to get them, you know? But it's kind of like a book, you know? It's like you don't sit down and read a book in one sitting. Right. You're probably going to like take in bite-sized chunks. You'll read 10 pages today, you'll read, you know, a chapter tomorrow or whatever. It's kind of how I treat podcasts too. So, but anyways, I like what you said about, you know, being more authentic and being able to kind of try to share a more, you know, real side.
Yeah, man.
I mean, those that, you know, when you were on FaceTime with her, like that was like emotional, you know? It was cool. And like sometimes that stuff hits you like, damn, I was giving away a camera. And like, you know, you even mentioned, you're like, I don't even care if you're like sub to me or anything like that. I just want to like pay it forward.
Yeah.
But like a lot of people do like giveaways and stuff like that because they're trying to, you know, promote their channel and get more subs or whatever. Definitely. And so to have that kind of like smack you in the face of like, whoa, that was real. That's cool.
It's funny. It was so much more. I was so much more fulfilled knowing like I'm not getting anything out of this.
Yeah.
Like I'm not getting more followers or subscribers.
Getting that sweet content, bro. I'm just kidding. But yeah.
Dude, that moment when I FaceTimed her, that made everything worth it. That made the $50 I spent on shipping totally worth it because
of course.
She freaked out. And who knows what that camera will mean for her.
Exactly.
Especially knowing what that first camera meant for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's kind of like, what is the potential of it sitting in your closet? Like, maybe you'll use it as a like backup right. One time or something. You know? Probably not. You know, but the potential when you give it to her, someone who doesn't have a camera at all yet, is amazing. And something that I wanted to kind of get into is some gear stuff, because obviously, like, you've made some pretty big purchases as far as cameras and drones and all this stuff. But I think it can get very overwhelming for people that are just getting in. Like for me, for example, this camera, the Canon 70D, that is shooting us right now if you're watching on wherever you're watching this, it was like my first real camera. Because other than that, I'd pretty much just had like, I had this little Sony, like almost like a flip cam at one point. The flip cams were hilarious. I had a flip cam at one point. And then I also had like, you know, some goofy little, you know, webcams and stuff like that. They weren't real cameras. So this was like my first camera, you know, and it can be very daunting because when you jump in, you see someone like, you know, I want to make videos like Preston. What gear is he rocking? And you're like, oh shit, do I need to spend like $2,000 on like this 4K Sony camera, or can I start off with something like the camera you gave away? You know what I mean? And I think because of how video has evolved so quickly over the past few years, like, I mean, arguably, like, just the drone stuff is insane, but even stabilizers and gimbals and the resolution and frame rate and, you know, all the stuff that we can have accessibility as just consumers is pretty absurd. Yeah. But at the same time, video is more accessible than ever because it's on our phones, right? So, like, for someone who is just getting into video and like maybe they want to just up their game a little bit, like what kind of equipment would you recommend to that person? And then we can get into all the fun stuff that you use now, because I'm a gear nerd as well. And that's a hard question too. Like, I mean, obviously, kind of let's say their budget is, you know, $1,000 or something like that. Like, you know, they don't want to really spend them over $1,000, but you know,
I would. Now, whoever answers this question, I mean, whoever the videographer is, it's going to be biased to them. For sure. For me, and
I'm not going to take any of this personally because I'm like using a Canon or anything like that. I'm not like, wow, dude, cool.
Over the past few years, I have jumped onto the Sony bandwagon.
Yes.
So the camera I have is the Sony A7S Mark II, which is very expensive.
Yes.
But I have...
What is it, like 2,500, 3,000 more?
2,200?
2,200. Okay.
Something like that.
I thought it was in my neighborhood.
So my backup second camera is probably the one I would suggest for the under 1,000 mark, is the Sony A6300. So the newest version of this model is the A6600. I may be wrong on that. But I got my Sony A6300 because I wanted a small Sony camera that I could interchange lenses on and whatnot.
Because it's kind of like the step above the one that you can't interchange the lenses on, right? Like they make one that's like a point and shoot, and then it's kind of like step above.
Basically. Nice. Shoots 4K, 120 frames per second, which is slow-mo.
That is butter. That is butter.
I mean, the biggest difference is the sensor size and the fact that the A7S is a full-frame camera while this is a crop-censored camera. For if you don't really know what that means,
don't worry.
Who cares?
Don't worry. If you know what it means, you know what it means, and if you don't
worry. Right. I think I bought that body used on Amazon for $450.
Nice. I'm a big believer in buying used equipment. Do you tend to buy used stuff?
I do. I have a lot of friends that don't, but
just because they're like wary of like what's been done to it.
Yeah, like if I'm gonna spend the money, I'm gonna like. And I get that.
I get that too.
I like feeling like I kind of got a deal.
Me too, man. I'm with you.
Yeah, I totally get that. Because
a lot of times, like, especially when it comes to camera stuff, or like, this recorder, this little Tascam external recorder thing I'm using, I got it on eBay for way cheaper. I think brand new, it's like $180. I think I got it for like 100 or something, or 80. And literally the description was, bought it for a project and never used it since. And that's typically kind of how stuff like this works. It's like people will buy it, and either they'll use the shit out of it until it's destroyed, or they'll use it like once or twice, baby it, and never use it again. And a lot of times you'll run into that kind of stuff on Craigslist or eBay.
Yeah.
Because people are like, dang, like, I didn't use this nearly as much as I thought I was going to.
I just need some cash, try to get rid of it.
Exactly. So, like, you've had some pretty good luck buying, like, used stuff before?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, I think I've had pretty good luck. I think the last used thing I bought was probably, I guess it was that Sony A6300.
Nice. Because you bought your new one brand new.
Right.
Yeah.
But now I'm looking at the new DJI Mavic 2, or is it Mavic? I never know.
Yeah, Mavic 2.
Mavic 2 that just came out.
I think it's the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mavic 2 Zoom.
Right.
So you're looking at the Mavic 2 Pro.
The Pro, yes.
That fat sensor, 1 inch.
Big boy.
Yeah.
Excited for that.
What stabilizers are you using these days?
I just bought the DJI Ronin S.
Nice.
Big fan. Love it.
DJI.
I'm new to the stabilizer game.
I feel like now everyone feels like they have to have a stabilizer.
Yeah.
Like, because this is my biggest thing. Like, when I was buying this camera, I had a friend who was selling it, so I got it used. And I was obsessed with Casey Neistat, and I'm like, if Casey can make videos, that are amazing, get millions of views, that are, 1080p, 30 frames per second, whatever, like, then I'm cool with that too. Like, I don't need to get super fancy just yet.
Right.
Like, I can work with that.
Yeah.
And like, I think a lot of people get into the game and they're like, well, I mean, I've got to be able to, like, shoot 4K because I got to be able to, like, crop in if I want to, or like, well, if I'm going 4K, if I'm doing slow-mo, I got to have a stabilizer too, so I'm going to buy the Ronin. And then before they know it, their Amazon shopping list is like $6,000, and they're like, wait a second.
And they're like, wait, I haven't done anything.
I haven't even made one video or attempted to edit 4K footage.
Right. Dude. It was fun. It's funny, man. As I edited that video of all of the old tape footage, it was this crazy eye-opening moment for me, because there are moments where I feel that same way, where I'm like, wow, I need to get all the fancy stuff and spend all the money, and then here I am editing this footage that is, on this old crappy camera. And
what was the resolution, like 480p?
480, yeah, I think so. I expanded it to fit 1080.
Of course.
And as I'm doing it, I'm like, this quality is so low, but the story it tells is mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. And it's so much more valuable than any of these super expensive.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and it was this very humbling moment for me. It was a nice reminder that, like, it's not about the gear, and videographers hate when they hear guys like Casey Neistat say that.
Of course, because they're, at the end of the day, they're gearheads. They're not storytellers. A lot of times I think these guys that are like camera nerds and stuff, like, they're not wrapping it all into one. Like, sometimes, like, especially in the cinema world, like, the guy that's operating the camera has nothing to do with the edit later. You know what I mean? Like, they're manning the camera. The director is the creative vision, but, like, the guy doing the camera work is just doing technical work.
Right.
And, like, someone like Casey Neistat is 100% focused on the story. Gear is almost, like, last on the list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times he was kind of that way just because he was intimidated by new stuff. He's like, I can make compelling stories with the stuff I've got. Yeah. Why do I need this stuff? It's just confusing and takes longer to export.
Did you see that I saw in one of his videos recently that he is switching from Final Cut over to Premiere?
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, dude, if you follow Casey Neistat's vlogs, he has been editing on Final Cut forever.
Yes.
So when he said that, I was like, no way.
Yeah.
He's making the jump. Come on over,
Come
baby.
on over, Adobe gang. Adobe gang all day. Dude, that's what I was going to ask you too. So are you doing everything in Premiere?
Yeah.
After Effects at all?
I don't do much in After Effects. I try to stay within Premiere.
After Effects is scary.
Yeah. There are like certain things I know how to do within After Effects.
Simple things.
Simple things.
I can make a waveform happen.
Yeah, me too. For a podcast.
I'm like, cool, I can do that. I can animate like one thing.
Right. But man, I follow some animators on Instagram that show what their sequences look like.
Oh my God.
It's so crazy, man. It makes me...
Intimidating.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, very intimidating.
So intimidating.
Yeah, and people, I think when they watch a video, if they're, for me personally, now that I've gotten into that kind of editing world and I know what it takes to kind of, make something and put it out that's not just pausing your camera and stuff like I was doing before. When I watch something now, I'm like analyzing it, kind of like a musician might analyze music rather than differently than someone who's just casually listening.
Yes.
Like someone who's just casually listening, it's just like, oh, this is a dope song.
Yeah.
But then like a musician, they're like, they have the trained ears, they know, they're like, oh, that snare is dope. Like, how did they make that bass line? So they're like thinking about all that stuff. And as a videographer, you start to like watch things. And before I would just be like, oh, that's cool. And now I'm like, how did they?
You pause, you rewind, you play, you rewind, and you watch it over and over again.
Yeah. And that's where the creativity comes in, because you're like, I've never even seen someone do that before. How did they even do that? Yeah. And some stuff is, camera tricks, and some stuff is like CGI, of course, like once you get to that level. But some of the crazy stuff with like these new stabilizers and stuff, you can do some really interesting things. Like
crazy.
with like the new Ronin S, like you can do the the freaking twisty time warp type of thing.
These people listening are like, what is he talking about?
So for if you're listening, it's almost like imagine if I'm zooming in on Preston's face, but the whole image is twirling. Like it's almost like going down a whirlpool or something. But on a normal camera, you'd have to twist your arms in a way where your arms would get tangled.
Yep.
And you're not shooting in a circle, like you're shooting a rectangle. So it looks unless
amazing.
you're cropped in like crazy, there's no way to do it in post.
Yeah.
So
and it's so smooth, man.
And it's super smooth, yeah. So that's where I think like the stabilizer stuff is just amazing. And you can get stabilizers for like relatively cheap now. Like originally I think the first Ronin was like way more expensive than the new stuff is. Yeah. But yeah, for people that are listening, like I think the main message that I like to put out there is don't feel like you should be held back by your gear. Like obviously aspire to get to that level, and like, but at the end of the day too, like you're doing this for a living. If someone's just trying to make a YouTube channel, like it's a big investment to like you're investing in your business when you're buying your gear, and like that's a business expense.
Right.
So those are things that you can bring to your clients and be like, yo, like I've got the dopest equipment and I've made these videos, like, whatever. But don't feel like if you're just trying to make videos.
Right. And don't let it inhibit you from even trying or making something. Because I think that's the lie everyone believes. They believe that, well, I want to make videos like fill in the blank, and I need the gear, fill in the blank. And if I don't have the gear, I can't do the video.
Yeah.
And then you're just at this standstill and you just kind of like float. And we do not want to be there.
No.
No.
Because if you're floating, you're really just going down.
Right. And then you start complaining.
Can't float forever.
And you're just like watching everyone else like get up and do something, create something.
Yeah.
Even if it's on your LG Envy.
Even if it's on
pause,
your LG Envy.
Record.
Dude, honestly, like that's the other crazy thing. Like I've got the Samsung S9 Plus, and there's a mode where you can shoot in 120. Or no, there's a mode where you can shoot in 240 frames per second. It's called super slow-mo.
I heard about that.
It's weird how it gets activated. Like it's activated by motion. So like it's very odd, but there's also that's called the super slow-mo mode. It's not very reliable. I don't like it, and it also compresses it way too much for me. Okay. But there's another mode where you can shoot in 120, and I'm like, dang, like I just bought this like cool camera that and I'm like, my phone can freaking shoot in like better slow-mo than my expensive camera. But at the same time, you have to think like, okay, this phone was like $1,000 or whatever. Right. But it is pretty nuts. The camera that's in your pocket is probably good enough to make the videos that you want to make.
Totally.
And you might need to buy, even just something to like put your phone in, like a little tripod mount or something like that, or like a little handheld thing where you can kind of get it in the angles you want. But I think people underestimate that, and they feel like a poser if they're trying to make cool videos with a phone.
And it's funny, I feel like especially on YouTube, it's getting to the point where some of the videos that are made on phones are doing better than the overproduced, big rig, super high budget videos because the viewer relates to the person.
Exactly.
I was just talking to someone and they were explaining how there was some brand that was working with Taylor Swift as she was about to release the new album, and they were going to send in all of this talent, all of the these people to shoot this huge thing, and ultimately they decided that wasn't going to work as well as her holding her phone and doing this whole selfie mode.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because people see this person they look at, and then they're like, wait, I do that. I have a phone. They're doing what I do. So it's interesting, especially on YouTube, seeing how those videos are almost more relatable. So
For sure.
that should motivate anyone listening to feel like, wow, like maybe I could try that. Maybe I should try that, you know?
Yeah, for sure. This is another really interesting and like kind of controversial subject in the video world right now is vertical videos. What are your feelings?
I think vertical video has its time and place, but I don't think it will replace 16:9 horizontal.
Heavy statement. Well, not super heavy because like a lot of people will agree with you. But at the same time, they're like IGTV and stuff. They're like betting on that 9:16.
I don't really think IGTV is gonna do what they want it to do.
I don't think so either. This is so I have some thoughts on this as well. So my friend Ryan, he has a very successful YouTube channel. Okay. He is a men's stylist.
Cool.
So, but now he's kind of transitioned his content to being more of, because style at the end of the day is a way that you express your personal brand, and like the way that you dress conveys a certain thing about you. And if you dress like an idiot, people are gonna treat you like an idiot. And if you dress like a badass, yeah, exactly, freaking idiots here. But if you dress like a badass, people are gonna assume you're a badass, right? And there's like, I mean, he's really into the psychology and stuff like that, so it's really interesting to watch his videos. His name's Ryan McGinn. I actually did a podcast with him. Episode 40 something. Find it. Yeah, it's called Handsome Guy Secrets. So anyway, I think it was 48. I don't know. Could be wrong. But anyway, so on his channel, one of the things that he's doing now is doing a lot more like vertical videos, and he was one of the first people I ever saw that was like actually chopping up and editing an Instagram story. So he was like actually like taking his GoPro and like editing little 15-second things to throw up back onto his phone to upload to stories. And the way that he kind of explained it, and people were going nuts over this. So like, how are you making these? This is Instagram stories. What? You're editing? And now it's not that crazy because, there's ads in the middle of Instagram stories, so you see stuff like that a lot. And also now, if you make a super highly edited thing, people might even think it's an ad.
Right.
So it's not as relatable.
Funny, man.
But at the time, it was like, what's the cutting edge thing? What's the cutting edge thing? And the thing that I think is fascinating is I think Instagram TV has a place where if you want to put something on your story that's longer than like 4 or 5 snaps long, you can like make a little trailer almost for your story and then add the swipe up thing that links to your IGTV.
Yeah.
And like do it that way. But anyways, the thing I was going to say about vertical video that's insane is the reason why traditionally like you view videos horizontally is like you got 2 eyes, your field of view is horizontal. When all of our TVs are set up that way, our movie theaters are set up that way, it just makes sense.
Right.
But now that we've got these devices in our hands, we're holding them with one hand, and the most comfortable viewing angle for that is, straight up and down. And like for years, like we've always said, everyone is like, it's a cardinal sin basically to like shoot in vertical, and because you're gonna get the black bars on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But now YouTube has native support for vertical videos. I mean, there's a study done that said like 75% of all online videos viewed on a mobile device. Instagram feed does not rotate, so the only way that you can actually get a full screen experience on Instagram is to do the vertical thing, and Instagram is like one of the number one places where people view stuff. Yeah. So it's pretty fascinating. I've definitely got my eye on it, and I'm like creating more vertical stuff because, especially with my promos and stuff like that for the podcast, I promote a lot on Instagram. It is very interesting because the first time you watch like a really awesome vertical video in your hand, it looks dope. Like because the aspect is totally different. You can get like a whole person in there. It's cool. Like it's just really cool.
Especially on like big smartphones. Yeah. To see the screen filled out completely. It's like,
especially like the new phones, like the iPhone 10 and like the phone I have, like the screen basically takes up the whole thing. So it looks freaking dope.
It does.
But the only thing I complain about with my phone is the aspect ratio is actually not 16:9. It's taller. Same with the iPhone 10. It's a little bit taller.
Right. You're right.
And so
do you double tap or something to like fill out?
on YouTube you can.
Okay.
So a lot of creators that I watch are starting to make them even wider. Like Peter McKinnon now, he actually makes them even wider than 16 by 9. But anyways, but if I upload like a story, the top and bottom will get chopped off on other phones. So I have to be mindful of that. And then also when I watch people's stories from their phones, the sides get chopped because it makes it taller. Which is annoying. But it's just one of those freaking annoying technology deals. But anyways, that's literally the most first world problem I've ever heard in my life. But anyways, dude, I feel like we should wrap things up. We've talked about a lot of great
Dude, this has
stuff.
been awesome, man.
Yeah, I feel like we talked about a lot of great stuff. If people want to find you, all that good stuff, where do they go? Where do they Preston go?
On Instagram, I am at Preston Goes. On YouTube, I am at Preston Goes as well. And in person, I'm Preston. So if you want to
Last name not Goes.
Not Goes, come give me a hug. Give me a chest
Goes,
bump.
give him a hug. That's amazing.
But hey, everyone, this guy, Andrew, there is nothing like sitting down and talking to you face to face. I listened to a few of these. To sit here and be past the 100th episode.
Thanks,
so
man.
proud of you, man. That's freaking awesome. It honestly, it does. I think it inspires me, and I'm sure it inspires a lot of the people listening to see you going after this thing for this amount of time.
It is pretty nuts.
So kudos, man. You're definitely inspiring me, especially as I'm going into this venture of this whole YouTube world. To just like keep at it. So I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Dude, and I was going to say, if there's anything you can say to the audience, one final message, like chase your dreams or something. Like, I don't know if you have anything. If you don't, it's cool. But like, if you have any kind of like parting message to the world, what would you say?
Message to the world. Something I've been learning a lot about recently is, I don't know, it's going to be a little serious, but I'll give it.
It's okay.
I had one of my closest friends from college pass away like 5 months ago.
Yeah.
It has reminded me how short life is. So that being said, I would tell anyone listening to, I don't know, tell the people that you care about how you feel, you know? And something I have been thinking so much about is I don't want to die with anything in me. So I want to create more. I want to love more. I want to push the limits. And yeah, I think there's something about that idea of like, I don't want to die with anything left in me. I really like. So hopefully that kind of, I don't know, motivates someone.
I love that, man. And the fact that you're like leaving a legacy with your videos and like all the things you kind of like, because I mean, we're all gonna die one day. We're all gonna leave stuff behind.
Yeah, totally.
Like I think about that a lot with my podcast. You know, like there's gonna be literally days and days of content to consume if people want to know about me or know about my friends or whatever. Like, you know, my kids probably will end up listening to some of these. You know, what up, little Andrew? I don't know, little Andrew or Andrea. But yeah, man, I love that, and I think as a society we don't think about that enough. So I totally agree.
Yeah.
Dude, thanks for being on the show.
Totally, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. And, we'll talk to you later, everybody. Peace.
Bye.
Boom. That was epic. I want to thank Preston so much for being on the show and for just being a freaking rad dude, you know? Make sure you follow him on IG and the YouTubes. His name there is Preston Goes. We talked about it. You can follow him and watch the videos. That was like a mixture of like Al Capone and like Bill Cosby. I don't know what that was. But if you made it to the end of the episode, which I know you did because you're listening to my voice right now, I know that you enjoyed this episode. And I know you're probably thinking, You're probably making that noise. You're thinking, I'd like to listen to another episode of that. That was pretty good. Well, you know what? You're in for a treat because I have 100 other episodes you can choose from. That's absolutely nuts. So where do you start? Lucky for you, I have some recommendations for you. So number one, go back and check out episode 65. That was a fail. But episode 65, it's called An Open Mind is the Only Way. That was with my friend Taylor Ayers. Taylor is an artist. He's a designer, world traveler, and he has very fascinating perspectives on a lot of different subjects, and is probably fueled by the fact that he is a black kid that was adopted by white parents. And, obviously nothing wrong with that. Nothing super weird, but it's just fueled a lot of really interesting and unique opinions and perspectives that he has. And he's just a super genuine dude, and he's not afraid to be vulnerable, which is incredible. So I think if you like this episode with Preston, you'll really enjoy that one as well. Episode 65, go check it out. Also go listen to episode 55 with Andrew Winchell. He's also a freelance videographer, but next month I'm doing a follow-up episode with him, so you can go pre-game for that one. But anyways, we had an amazing conversation all about working with some huge global brands, being an eating disorder survivor, and of course, social media, storytelling, videos, all that kind of stuff. That episode is dank, so go back and listen to it. It's called Get Paid to Learn, episode 55. Don't you want to learn how to get paid to learn? Learn how to get paid to learn. Love it. Coming up next, we have episode 102 with Wes Evans. Wes is an actor and a filmmaker and director, and his company is called Icarus Burning. They've created some amazing short films and commercials, but not only that, he's also the host of a podcast called The Pestle. If you don't know what a pestle is, it's like that little thing where you can grind stuff up, break it down to the smallest little bitty pieces, and that's exactly what they do with movies. The podcast is full of spoilers, but they really analyze and break down some of the best films of all time. And it's really fascinating to hear his perspectives on what makes or breaks some of these all-time greats. And I had an awesome time chatting about his story, how he got to where he is today, and talking about some awesome movies. So that episode will be out next week. So stay tuned, keep it locked, don't change that dial, all that kind of stuff that people say that doesn't really make much sense in digital technology. But if you want to support the show, the Andrew Deitch Podcast, you listen to the whole thing, you're listening to my voice right now, you like me, you like what I'm doing, tell your friends. Seriously, that's the way that the show grows. If you're enjoying this, if you liked what I'm doing here, obviously subscribe, obviously, go to iTunes, rate it 5 stars, all that stuff. That's done. If you're a true fan of the podcast, you've already done all that stuff. But the main thing you can do is, your friends are talking about podcasts. Oh, what podcasts are you guys listening to? Which ones do you recommend? If you actually enjoy the show, it would mean the world to me if you share this podcast with friends. And people tell me all the time, they're like, dude, I heard about your podcast from this guy. Heard about your podcast from this guy. And that's so exciting to me, So anyways, support the show. If you want to follow me, you can go to my website, andrewdeitch.com. You can find all the links there. But that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. All right, we should be Sinky. We should be living in Helsinki.
Oh.
Maybe not.
You're the freaking mayor of Helsinki.